that have joined. We're already almost 120. So Rabbi Dovi Goldstein is going to open up, and then I'll make an introduction. And then we're fortunate to hear from Rabbi Green, after which Rabbi Gilbert will say a thank you at the end. So Rabbi Goldstein, you're on.
Thank you so much, Rabbi Green. It's so great to see you. And though we probably more than halfway across the world from each other, I think somehow the neshama just speaks to each other. And as I've told you many times in person and on the phone, the nafshay kshura b'nafshay, what you have shared with me personally and with my community over years. I mean, our relationship goes back, I think 13 or 14 years from that very first time you came past our community, and you gave us such strength and such chizuk in some very, very challenging times. And the personal chizuk that you gave me, the strength, the unbelievable positivity, the unbelievable support, which I've always felt so authentically and so warmly that you shared. When I listen to your music, Rabbi Green, I just feel this tremendous closeness and this tremendous depth that you have an ability to share with every single human being. And we just thought was such a beautiful person to have to share in these really challenging and I guess you could say somewhat dark times where there's so much anxiety, so much uncertainty, and so much pain and loss that so many people are going through. I think your unique style of heart, of caring, of love, of feeling is exactly what we need here, what I need here to hear from you. And it's just such a beautiful, beautiful opportunity to have you sharing with our communities. And I once again just want to thank my dear colleagues to Rabbi Danny Sackstein and the Sunny Road Kehillah for this wonderful partnership, and of course to Rabbi Kiva Gilbert and the OJE, because this is just something that I believe we've just started, but is already something which is making such an impact. So thank you so much, and thank you, Rabbi Green, for being with us tonight.
Okay. Thank you, Rabbi Goldstein. Very well said. Beautiful words. And it is a great privilege to be with Rabbi Green and to have him on our Torah Tuesdays. As Rabbi Goldstein said, this is a collaboration between the Sunny Road Kehillah and Osameach Savoy and OJE, the Outdoor Jewish Experience. So a very big thank you to Rabbi Goldstein and Rabbi Gilbert. And it's wonderful that every second week we will be, Imirza Hashem, Bleed bringing you world-class speakers. 2 weeks ago we had Rabbi Pesach Kron, and our second installment this evening is with the fantastic Rabbi Green. And as Rabbi Goldstein said, Rabbi Green is somebody who's touched thousands of Jews the world over. Rabbi Green, he probably doesn't need an introduction to anybody who's listening. We're over 150, but I'll just do so anyway. Rabbi Green is the founder and Rosh Hashiva of Birkas HaTorah, an outstanding Torah institution in the Old City in Jerusalem. And Rabbi Green, in an act of tremendous greatness, he, a number of years ago, he handed the yeshiva over to his Talmidim, which is the ultimate success of a Rosh Hashiva. And the yeshiva, Baruch Hashem, is continuing to flourish. And Rabbi Green decided to impact on Klal Yisrael from the Galus, from the diaspora. He's now in Phoenix, Arizona, and he's touching and inspiring Jews from there. Rabbi Green, as Rabbi Goldstein said, we all feel very close to you, and you've guided us all through many different challenges and journeys in our lives. We became very close to you, my wife and I, when we were in Cape Town, and that friendship has continued here in Johannesburg since we moved up to Johannesburg. And we really do appreciate and treasure your wisdom and your care and your vision and understanding of Klal Yisrael. And as a result, we felt that it would be of great benefit to South African Jewry to hear from you at this time of difficulty, this time of darkness, this time of illness that the world faces with the pandemic. And so we're so grateful to you for your time and for your wisdom and for speaking us this evening on the topic renewing inspiration. Over to you, Rabbi Green.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you to all of the rabbis who are hosting. and to everybody. To have hello to old friends that I know and to new friends who I don't know. Hope we quickly become old friends. And I only have something simple to say. I only know how to say simple things. That's what I got. But that's what I want to share with you today. I want to tell you a couple different things. Years ago, I had the privilege to be friendly with a gentleman who was a communications officer in the army in Israel. And apart from having participated in many famous campaigns, etc., and he, for one reason or another, recorded the whole opening. Maybe he recorded He recorded the Yom Kippur War, and he shared his tapes with me. It was an incredible experience. I mean, literally, I heard the war beginning and what was going on. He was in a bunker on the canal, on the Suez Canal, which was, they did not fare well. It was a very, very difficult situation. He miraculously survived. In any case, one interesting thing happened. Imagine imagine being in a bunker in a very, really, really frightening time and a difficult time, a time of great danger. A young man in the bunker essentially panicked. And so that's bad enough for the guy, but you realize in such close quarters and people are doing life and death work. People in the communications in the bunker are busy protecting lives and saving lives. It's literally life and death going around them from second to second. And this kid panics. And my friend, the communications officer, realized that he had to do something, so both for the kid and for everybody else in the bunker. What he did was he took a certain device that located a particular enemy frequency. So part of communications officers they do is they're busy jamming and blocking enemy signals. That's also part of fighting a battle. So what he did was he gave a device to this young man and he sat him down. The kid was panicking. He said, "Now look, every time you hear this sound, push this button, and that'll cancel the communication." So the kid sat down. He was shaking and panicking, and actually heard all this on the recording. But after a very short time, the kid was completely calm and actually kind of like almost having fun, like almost like he was playing almost like playing a video game. But he completely calmed down. Now it's a simple psychological device that everybody understands. But one thing is that anybody that has to manage people, especially parents and mothers and fathers, know that when a person can do something meaningful, it's one of the great ways to get rid of panic. And in general, it's a way to get people back in line. And there's very good reason for that. And that's why you'll see smart people know that in difficult times, they try to put people into a position where they are doing something. Because the more a person is passive and feels victimized, the more panicked they are, the less secure they are. Now, in general, I think we all know, we're all good friends. In general, I'm always looking for actions and ways to actually do something about things rather than just meditating them or getting and certainly getting down about them. So the thing is like this: you always want to be able to do something, and there's a reason why doing something. I just want to explain it. I'll explain a lot about this as we come up. There's a reason why doing something is so important, because doing, as we'll see, is the most close we can be with Hashem. Doing is always the closest, because that's how the whole world came into being. There was nothing, and Hashem did something, whatever that means. It's not doing like I'm doing, but that's what it means. And now I'm going to begin to explain. I think it'll all start to make sense. What I really want to talk about is how to get ourselves going. And this is at all times now, but now more than ever, we have to be moving and doing and active. More than ever before, we have to be active. You always have to be active. But certainly when there are difficult times, you have to be extremely active. And why? And as I'll explain, because first that was demanded by the time, but because as we'll see, because that's the fulfillment of our human purpose. Now, one of my jokes is I have a long history of always trying to have a good time. I love having a good time. I think we all do. One of the things I mentioned, I don't know if I mentioned in our talks, but when I was little, I loved to go swimming, especially on a hot summer day. So I would come to the pool or to the water, wherever it was, and everybody knows there's always a challenge to get started when you're swimming. No matter how hot the day is, no matter how much you want to swim, there's always the problem that there's a difference between the temperature of the water and the temperature of your body. And even if it's a warm or even a hot summer day, there's always that extremely unpleasant moment where the body has to go into the water and you have to go through that unpleasant shock of acclimating, to the difference, acclimating to the water, to overcoming the difference between the temperature of your body and the temperature of the water. So I would get there and I would always just be stuck. I would sit down and I'm trying to figure out how can I get into the water without feeling that unpleasant feeling? Because I never wanted to feel that way. So of course I was a kid. I thought I was a child. I thought of ideas that a child would figure out. So somewhere in my mind, it seemed to me that, well, if I could get into the water, that somehow maybe the unpleasant was because I was coming into the water from the top, because that's what I was experiencing. But I was thinking, well, maybe if I could get in from the bottom, like maybe dig a hole and come into the pool from underneath, to somehow get into the water and not have to, and overcome that thing. So of course, the same thing happened every time. I'd have one more brilliant or crazy idea than the other, but how to get into the water without actually entering the water, through the surface of the water and feeling the unpleasantness. And of course, I would never actually figure out a practical solution. And ultimately, what would ultimately happen was that I would realize that it was just really a hot day, and it was going to be 1 second, and I was going to feel uncomfortable. And then once I get in, it was going to be fine. And then the next thing I would do is I would jump into the water. Literally feel this split second or whatever it is of unpleasantness, and then be splashing around and swimming and having the time of my life, and forgetting that I ever was even worried about it. Now there are many things. So once a person gets going, there are ways to overcome difficulties. You don't. You could sit there forever. And I was speaking about recently one of the things that guides Jewish people, all people who accomplish things, but particular that guides Jewish people, is the understanding that a person has to be willing to not be satisfied momentarily. That expresses itself a lot of ways. So literally just waiting, or we call delayed gratification. Here, you'll get it. You'll get what you want, but you'll have to invest to get it. You'll have to wait in order to get it. Some days you have to have unpleasantness in order to get it, but you'll get there. A joke is they asked the person in Hollywood what their opinion was on instant gratification. The person said it takes too long. But that's really the truth. He said, if you always want to be gratified, then any waiting is too much. How much you want? Everything. I want everything. I want everything that ever can happen now. That's what I want. I want everything this minute. Everything I can possibly have, I want this minute all the time. And the truth is that you're right. The truth is you're right. I'm going to try to explain this. There's a tremendous existential paradox. What is it about us that wants everything all the time now? Yeah. Is it as selfish and self-centered and insane as it sounds or not? I think it's not. I think the truth is that there's something fundamentally correct, but we just got it wrong for the moment. In other words, here, there's a God, you know that. HaKadosh Baruch Hu has everything. There's nothing Hashem can't provide. There's nothing Hashem can't do. So why shouldn't I have everything all the time this minute without anything? There's no reason why not. And you're really right. You're correct. It's, in fact, to not think that that's an option is a little bit of problem. I don't know if the person believes in God. If I know that there's a God, I don't know why I shouldn't have everything all the time. Now I happen to know it, but that's a different story. At least in theory. Don't tell me you believe in God and you think you can't get everything. I believe a God-fearing person is never stuck. At least in theory. I know if there's a God, anything. I can have anything. I just told the story. It's true. I remember when I was 5 years old. My younger sister, I'm the middle child in my family. My younger sister is 5 years younger than me. So she was born when I was 5 years old. And this was, a while ago. And my grandfather, may rest in peace, my mother's father, gave my mother, when she gave birth to my sister, he gave her a gift, and he hired for several days. But I don't even know what it means. They call a practical nurse. So it meant that the nurse would come to the house and be with us for 5, 6 days, 7 days, whatever it was, and ease the transition for my mother coming home from the hospital. And remember, just to show, I want to show you what an effect this had on me, because I was 5 years old, and it's the memory is powerful in my mind to this second, and I'm not a kid anymore. Okay, I'm kind of a kid, but not really. And I remember exactly where I was. I remember exactly I was at the sink. I could see the sink and the faucet in front of me, and I see this woman, this practical nurse, Mrs. Dowdy, standing right next to me. And there's some conversation going on in the house, and probably my brother, whatever it is. And I said, "That's impossible." And something happened, and she lifted herself up. She wasn't a very tall lady. She lifted herself up to her full height. It looked like she was so big. And she said, "Don't you ever say that." And I was in shock. I said, "Don't you ever say that." She said, "There's a God. Nothing is impossible." And to this day, I'm telling you, I could see her to this day. And I never, ever, ever forgot it. She's right. She's right. There's nothing God can't do. Question is, will Hashem do it? Is it a good thing to do? Is it the right time to do it? So there's no reason why we shouldn't expect everything. It's similar. I just want to explain that. I have to talk quickly because I want to say a lot in a little time. Actually, I want to say a lot of time, but I want to say it well. Whatever that means. Anyway, I just want you to know something. It's a little different, when you're talking on the computer, when you talk to people face to face, just for the record. Anyway, stories like this, there's a similar thing. You know that the Torah wants us to be humble. There's a country song that says it's hard to be humble. But you know why? It's hard to be humble when you're so great. But the truth is that there's good reason not to be humble. Why is that? Because you are great. We are great. That's the facts are that we're great. I'll explain my connection 1 second. The facts are we're great. Hashem put wonderful things into every human being. There's not a human being in the world that's not full of the most wonderful things. The only thing is, it's not yours. You should be taking credit. God made you wonderful, but He should get credit, not you. So I'm just trying to show you the two sides of the coin. There's very good reason not to be humble. The truth is ultimately you should be humble, but because there's a God here, of course you're wonderful. You are great. You are great. And if you don't know that, you'll never be humble, by the way. You'll never, if you don't know how great you are, I assure you, you'll never come close to humility. People with a bad self-image are they're not humble. Tons of them are haughty. Bad self-image is itself a type of haughtiness. And they'll never come close to humility. Humility is humility. You see the incredible beauty that God put into you. Who the heck are you to put yourself down? You don't believe in God. What do you think? God made you a creep? God made everybody. God put wonderful things into everyone. So and then to be humble, that's the point. Now my point is, let's go back to where we started. Here, should you expect that? Yes. Why not? Why not? There's a God. If you don't see that everything can happen, and you can have absolutely everything. I don't know if you believe in God. What are you talking about? There's a God. He can give you anything, everything. The only thing is that the Torah teaches that in the wisdom with which Hashem created the world, we were taught that that's not the best way. Ironically, the way to get everything is not to get everything. Not now. Now, I'm going to talk a little history, and this is, by the way, this is all different kinds of Jews for all of this exile that we've been running. For centuries, Jews run from one country to another, from one place to another, and literally sometimes giving up everything they had to start over again. And it's unbelievable. And coming to a new country and going to live in the slums, in the worst part of wherever country they came to. No money. And sleeping on the floor or whatever they had. And somehow, but you saw always the same thing. And I saw when I grew up, but it was all around when I was growing up. Jews came to America from Russia, Poland, all kinds of places, and they would get a single a storefront, and the whole family would live in a room behind the store. I don't know if you know, this is the most common story here. The whole family's living in a back room of a store, and trying to sell a few goods, and no matter what they made, they always held back some. A little bit, put away a few pennies here, a few pennies here. No, eventually they got another room. They move out. They send the kids to school. It's classic. Throughout history, Jewish people have known that that's right. You're gonna have to delay the gratification. If every penny you make, you spend. On the one hand, hey, you're having a good time. You enjoy everything, but ironically, you lose. And business people know this left and right. They take advantage. All good business people take advantage of the fact that people can't control themselves, that people cannot delay their gratification. So they know that you'll end up doing that. They'll be able to take advantage because you can't wait. What happens in poor neighborhoods all over the world? They'll sell a product. It's true. This product sells for half the price of the expensive product, but it's not worth a tenth. It's not worth a tenth. Everybody knows it. It breaks my heart. I go into neighborhoods where people really are poor, and I go into the shops. I want to cry. Why? Because the goods are cheap, but they're cheap. They'll buy the product for 50% of what it would cost them to buy a decent product, but it won't last a tenth of the time. They'll end up buying it twice and 3 times and 4 times and 5 times. And the person who sold it to them will make the profit 3 and 4 and 5 times more than they would have made had they sold them the good product for twice the price. Everybody knows it. What's a layaway plan? I don't know if you know what they call it around the world. What's layaway? Layaway means, listen, you can't control yourself to wait. You can't save up the money to buy the product when you have the money. No, you want the product now before you can pay the money. The seller says, this is a great idea. If you would save your money, you could buy the product now for $1. But you can't control yourself. I got a great idea. Give me 10 cents. You can have it now. But I'm going to collect 10 cents 20 times. You only had to come up with, you didn't have to save up and wait till you had $1 and buy the product. No, I'll give it to you for 10 cents. But I'm going to cost you 10 cents for 20 weeks straight. You'll pay twice because you can't control yourself. Well, great. What good did instant gratification do over you? And that's, everybody knows that. It's just constant. Here, the whole internet's full of it. Oh, free. It's not free. It's nothing for free. You're gonna pay. But they trade in instant gratification for no gratification. That's what the whole world is based on. Every good business person knows this. They take advantage of people's inability to control themselves. Really, if the person would wait and save the money, and they wouldn't get it now, but get it in 3 months or 4 months, they'll end up paying a fraction for 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 times the value. Ironically, the person who didn't get what they wanted when they wanted it really got what they wanted. And why do Jewish people know this trick? We learned it from the Torah. Because everything about our Torah taught us this. That's what Hashem taught us. Listen, invest now. Wait, you'll see it'll be better. Wait, don't go for the instant gratification. Don't indulge yourself every second now. Invest. Do the things the Torah taught you. You'll see self-covered level. There's an eternity. You'll have all eternity, and you'll be so happy that you didn't consume everything in the moment. That you were willing to put in the time. There's the secret. There's the secret of Jewish people spiritually. There's the secret of the Jewish people physically. So nothing happens without investment and waiting. That's what God taught us. I'm going to explain to you why in a second, in my humble opinion. One of the other things I got out of time because I love it, because everybody gets full. We love to hear we're going to get something without doing anything, because it's so enticing. I don't know what they have the same product all over the world under different names, but here's what it is. It's fantastic, and I love it. I love the idea. Tickles me pink, and I'm delighted every time I almost get fooled, and hopefully, catch myself from being fooled. So what's the idea? You'll see. You open up a magazine page or newspaper, and there's a full page, and you see a delicious chocolate milkshake. But you know how they photograph, you see a little moisture on it, it's ice cold, and it looks delicious. It's deep, dark, chocolatey, and cold. And then wait a second, this is not an advertisement for milkshakes. Oh my goodness, this is a weight loss program. What are you talking about? What is chocolate? No, yes, you can't believe it. They're going to sell you a chocolate milkshake and you are going to lose weight. Whoa, I can't believe this. Wait a minute. I'm going to drink my way of chocolate milkshakes to lose it. I'm in. I can do this. This is sign me up. Sign me up. I'm going to drink chocolate milkshakes to skinniness. I can drink them all day long. Well, I'm in. I'm good at this. I'm great at chocolate milkshakes. Now, when you read the fine print, here's what you find out. Yes, you are going to drink chocolate milkshakes, and it is a weight loss program. Number one, the only thing you're going to basically be eating is a chocolate milkshake, and only 2 a day. The rest of the day, you're starving. But what is the premise of the ad? They hook in. They realize, I'm going to get something. I'm going to do nothing and get something. We all love that idea. There's another one that's similar, which I love. I don't know if you ever saw the ad. This is the exercise machine that exercises you while you're sleeping. Have you seen that? It's like a lot of electrodes. You put it on your whole body, and while you sleep, it's going to exercise your muscles. You're gonna wake up, and you're gonna be mighty, mighty person. So who doesn't love that? Whoa, I can do this. Sleeping, I love sleeping. Whoa. Sign me up. You know it's not going to happen. But everybody knows, every business knows to hook into this point. And I'm explaining to you why. Because fundamentally, there's something true. I'm explaining. As funny as it is, here's the point. It's the same way I told you. Same thing with gaiva, same thing with humility, same thing with the delayed. The truth is that the passion to have immediate gratification is very well based because there's a God. It's very well based. There's very good reason why in the deepest place we believe that we should get. And I'm going to explain, not only that, not only in theory, I'll explain. Even in reality, that is the case. We did nothing and Hashem gave us a universe. Here. We weren't here. We didn't do anything to earn coming into this world. For sure not. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu did something. HaKadosh Baruch Hu made a world. We did nothing. And all of a sudden we were here. We had everything. Hashem gave us a world. So it's not just theoretically here. In actual practice, we have good training. We're used to this. You're born. Hey, you're a baby. You're born as a baby. You did nothing. You're born. Everybody takes care of you. We have a lot of history here that supports a very strong gut feeling that we should be getting something for nothing. Why? Not only because in theory we could be, like I said to you before, in fact we are. We get something for nothing from the moment we're born. The universe, parental care, thank God if we have a normal family. So there's very good reason to think of these things. And the truth is that they're very well founded. And Hashem did do that. Hashem did give us something for nothing. Okay, so far so good. What's the problem? The problem is that true something for nothing is not something for nothing. Oh, there's one more I got to tell you. I can't help myself. I hope you'll put up with me, brother, because I just got to tell you, I don't know if they have this in other places in the world. Where I grew up, there was it was classic. This was the classic American scam. It's called razzmatazz. It's hysterical. This is all through the South and other places in America. Well, it's gotten kind of famous now, so people know. But I think there's a new victim every day. Razzmatazz is something like this. Razzmatazz, you'll find yourself walking down the street, and the guy jumps out of the storefront. He says, "Whoa!" He says, "Listen, you can win $500." So now you're no, yeah, what's it going to cost me? No. He says, "No, here." And the person, I'm not exaggerating. The person has a fistful of dollars, and he pushes like $5 or $6 into your hand. He says, "Here." He says, "I'll give you this money just to try. Come on in and play." You can win $500, and here's $5 you can play. You got 5 singles in your hand, especially if you're a kid. Oh my goodness, your fist is full of money. And you go in, and then everything happens at lightning speed. There's a guy there with a cup full of dice, and he's got this board with all kinds of numbers and symbols. There's no way you could possibly figure it out. He says, "Okay, throw the dice." You throw the dice. He says, "Oh, get it 43, 70. Oh my goodness, you already have 200 points. You're me. Here, throw it again." He says, "Give me that. You give it $1. Throw it again." He said, $4. He's $3. You're spending their money, not your money. All of a sudden, now you spend $4. Oh my goodness, you have 400 points. You get you have 100 more points. You're gonna win $500. This never happened. We've never seen anything like this. We're gonna lose money on you. So okay, give him one more $1. You throw the time. 420. Oh, you're almost there. Oh my goodness, you're gonna win the $500. You just gotta get 80 more points. You have $1. All of a sudden now the next $1 comes out of your pocket, and all of a sudden the points don't work anymore. They never worked. He fooled you. They just fool the dance. Why? Because they hook into a fundamental feeling we have, which is founded, which is well grounded, that we should be getting something for nothing. God gives us everything for nothing. There's no question about it. He did by making the universe. He did from the moment we're born. Of course he's doing it. But it's like the same thing. Like I told you, yes, it's true. But it's not, but that's not the stance that we're supposed to be taking. And I'm going to tell you why. Because you won't get the something for nothing. And that's the thing that everybody learns over and over again. It never happens. And every you speak to the real business people, no matter what you do, "Hey, I got something for you. Yeah, what's it going to cost me?" They don't. No old businessman's going to fall for that. It never happens. You can talk your mouth off. You're a little kid. You think you're gonna. The old guy. Yeah. I know about it. Just tell me what is the deal. Just tell me what you want. They know exactly. They're not fooling anybody. And Hashem made the world that way, and there's a reason for it. You know why? Because, and this is the reason. Take a look. We have delayed gratification is one. Take a look, we do. But the second thing we have is we have even an idea of no gratification, in theory. What I mean to say, and I've discussed this many times, it's not what I really want to talk about today. But there's such a thing. You can do a thing for profit. You can do it for love. And love is the closest thing we have to really no reward whatsoever. That's what love really means. To serve from love or to do something like, "Here, I don't want anything back. Here, I love you. That's all. Here, take it. Just take it. I don't want it. I love it. Goodbye. Don't call me. It's yours." Okay, there is such a thing. Now, and ironically, here's what's so ironic. So the Torah teaches us to delay gratification, that's for sure. And we have a million places in the Chazal and the Musar books that all explain to us this world is like this world is we reach the shore of the next world. This world is a Friday, the next world is Shabbos. Here, we have a million parables that tell us that we're on the road and the payoff is there, not here. So we have one, we all have a million places to see that we put in the effort and get paid later. And we even have a model for no gratification, which is love, and that's the highest level. Ironically, of course, you realize, and this is the joke, and this is what I'm going to explain, not really, I didn't even get to what I want to explain yet, but we'll get there in a moment. But believe that they're heavy on the belief. We're going to get there. The thing is that here, ironically, everybody knows who gets the greatest world to come. A person who serves Amanas L'Kabel Pras, a person who serves in order to get rewarded, or a person who serves Shalom Amanas L'Kabel Pras, a person who serves not in order not to get rewarded. So ironically, you know that the greatest reward of all comes to the person who doesn't serve for reward. It's the funniest thing. It's crazy, but that's the case, and everybody knows it. Everybody knows it. And I'll explain to you why that is. The reason that is because that is the most godly a person can be. Is anything going to be more fun than being God? It can't. It's not possible. It can't be. It can't be more fun than that. So if I don't mean you're going to be God, but you're going to be as close to it as you possibly can. And just think with me for a second, and we will understand what I'm talking about. If you think of what are the most wonderful moments of your life? Everybody knows. I want to tell you something. I hope I get a few minutes here, but I'm okay. I'm not over time. It's okay. I got a couple minutes left. I'm still okay? Okay, good. So I'll tell you something. When I was a kid, thank God I grew up. Thank God I had a wonderful home. But we always wanted it. As we start to grow up, we wanted to spend a little money, etc. And when I grew up, kids didn't have money. You didn't. There was no such thing. Money was for grown people, not for children. So the second we were old enough, we went out to get a job and to try and to earn a little money. And I had the good fortune to be hired to work in a drugstore. In America, drugstores are really, drugstores contain pharmacies in America, but they're not pharmacies. Drugstores are like little corner department stores, actually. Our little drugstore, I think, had 60,000 items in it. Anyway, I was working in a drugstore. I was a kid, 15 years old. And that year, I grew up in Baltimore, which is in Maryland. And in West Virginia was going through an economic disaster at that time. And people were losing their properties, people were losing their farms, all kinds of things. And there was a tremendous influx of young people, rural people, into the city. And plenty of people were kids, teenagers, young teenage couples, people getting married. People got married at young ages then, and they poured into the city with no city skills whatsoever. They appeared there, completely unprepared for the life in the city, and they immediately were in trouble. And unfortunately, maybe they weren't the most educated people. And unfortunately, what a common case was in these young couples, the guys would essentially not have work. They'd be drunk all the time, and the women would somehow find work, and they'd keep the family going. And where I worked, there were two such women, and their husbands, unfortunately, were not doing so great. Were always coming around trying to get the money, and it wasn't a happy situation. In any case, I was there working in the drugstore, and so one of these young wives, a woman, she worked there, and she was trying desperately to qualify for a government job. A government job in those days was just hitting the jackpot. A person had a steady salary. They would get health benefits and pension, everything. It was the ticket. It was the golden ticket, without a question. And so she was trying desperately to pass. It's called the GS something. It's a government service exam so that it would qualify to get this job in the post office. And I saw what was happening. And all that summer, day after day, night after hot summer, all the hot summer, day after day, I stood next to the cash register and I studied with her all of the English and mathematics skills, etc., to help her to pass this exam, which thank God she did. And I have to tell you that from the moment I was born until that moment, that was the most meaningful thing that had ever happened to me. And at first, I didn't grasp it. And only as time passed, of course, I realized as I matured, and I realized why it was so important, because here, for the first time, I did something that actually meant something in my life. I did something that, that had a meaning, that had a value. Now, the joke is, who do you think got more out of that transaction? There's no question. There's no question that it was me. There's no question. I was the beneficiary. I got everything. And if you think about it, if you think about your life, think, what are the finest moments? What are the most wonderful things you can ever remember? You know that those moments are the moments when you were beyond yourself, when you weren't selfish, you understand, when you were not self-centered. So here, ironically, take a look. The greatest gratification comes when the person is not getting the immediate gratification. Now, is much better because as I said, to have ironically a delayed gratification, and even in theory to work theoretically for no gratification at all, ultimately to get the most incredible gratification, which is not to be dependent. Okay, now what's the problem though? Now I'm finally up to what I wanted to talk about. What's the problem here? Okay, we all get it. Okay, you get to work, do your job. Look what I spoke about. Just to summarize here. In times of trouble, get going, do something. Okay, why? Because the worst feeling, if I wasn't clear before, the reason why people feel so bad in difficult times is because they feel that they're utterly helpless. The world is overwhelming them. They have no power. They're helpless, etc. Good, so get moving. Get moving. You're right. It's not your world. It's God's world. But get moving. To the degree that you have some ability to affect what's going on, do something. Here, knock out the enemy communication, sit down, do your job, do something. Now, what's the problem? And the second you do something, you're going to start to act in a godly way, which is more important than really having control. What's more important is you're actually emulating Hashem, putting energy out the way you're supposed to do. The problem is, how do you get yourself to put out energy? What does it? So if you noticed before, the first example that I gave you about the swimming pool, if you remember, I hope I remember everything. I don't remember everything I said. But anyway, the first example here, the formula is simple. Here, if the fear of getting into the water stops you from going, what's going to make you go in the end? Well, eventually, as I told you, if you go back and check out what your real motivations are, there's a certain point where the motivation will overcome the discomfort. So long as the discomfort is greater than the motivation, nobody gets going. You can't do anything. Here, my discomfort for the cold water is stronger than my motivation to swim. I'm not going to get in. But the second you get the motivation to be greater, here, I'll do it. You jump in. Heck with it. Motivation is greater. People jump through fire when they have to. When the motivation is great, I don't care what the discomfort is. Who cares? Who cares? People literally run into fire. People run through bullets coming in battle. And the motivation is great. People do what they have to do to save their country, to save their family. People run into a hail of bullets. But how do you do it? So the first thing is, like I told you, I'm not going to explain the whole thing to the best of my ability. That's all I really want to say. I just have a simple point to say. But the point I think the first thing you do is here. Let me check it. Wait, here. What am I talking about? What do I believe in? I'm going to tell you one story. I need a couple minutes to get this across. And I told the story a while ago. When I was a kid, it just happened. My brother may live well. He's older than me. But it just happened. I was married before my brother. I was married a couple of years. I'm younger, but I was married first. So we were in yeshiva together. In those days, the yeshiva itself was not the yeshiva that we went to, a wonderful place, but it was just being built. There wasn't much of a yeshiva there. And almost all the rooms in the dormitory didn't have doors. Most of the rooms had no doors. I don't know if any of the rooms had a door that was attached, and some of the rooms had a door that wasn't attached to the roof. So my brother, who lived, because he wasn't married, he lived in the dormitory in the yeshiva, and I was married. I lived at home, and he was one of the elite in the yeshiva, in the respect that he had a room, they had a door that, even though the door wasn't attached, but it was a door that you could lean up against the entrance to the room. It was a very high class, that was the executive. You had an executive room. One afternoon in yeshiva, the afternoon comes, you've been learning all day. I was exhausted, and I just needed a nap. So I went to my brother. I asked him, please, could I take a nap in your room for a half hour, whatever it is, and I'll be able to come back and learn. So my brother is very kind. He said yes. So I went. It was late afternoon, and I went to his room and I laid down in the bed. And one of my favorite. I have a billion favorite things, but one of those billion favorite things, one of my favorites of my favorites is the split second as you slip under it to sleep. It's a pleasure, achy kind of. It's an incredible second. One of my favorite seconds of the whole world. If I could describe it in poetry, or if I could package it in a taste, I would do it. Drink it. And I was exactly in that second. Imagine that exquisite second, as you slip, slip under from consciousness, so you slip under an incredible combination of a psychological and emotional and physical utter pleasure. And at that second, I remembered that I hadn't davened mincha. Ah, what do you do at that second? It was a perfect second. I didn't daven mincha. It was late. There was no way I was going to sleep and get up and daven mincha. The afternoon, the sun was going down. So yeah, I have to tell you the truth. So at that moment, it's very difficult. It's very difficult. And I was right there. And I had only a split second. It was a question of yes or no. I was going to be asleep in half a split second. So I was about to go on there, and this thought formed in my mind. Look, maybe just this once. And as the thought formed, something happened. There's like a metal rod, like got stuck between my feet and my back, and I went into shock. And I went directly from horizontal to vertical. I don't think I bent my legs. I think straight from lying down, I was standing up next to the bed and shaking. I was shaking. And I said, what is with you? I said to him, do you believe in God or don't you? I'll never forget the moment. I was shaking. I went direct from lying down to standing up, shaking. And I remember, what are you doing? Do you believe in God or don't you? Well, I'll tell you, I daven mincha. And I don't remember if I ever got back to sleep. But I definitely daven mincha. A certain thing, a point where what gets a person to overcome the discomfort of getting going is you go back and you check where you're coming from. Here, why were you here to start with? What do you believe in? What's going on? When a person does that, things change. And it gets you moving. That gets you moving. Why was I here? What was my goal? What did I want? What was happening? Now, everybody knows there's a famous book called the Mesilas Yesharim, and when he explains how a person goes about getting moving, what gets you moving? What gets you here? Go back. Go check it out. See where you're coming from. If you realize that there's a God who made you and gave you everything in the world, everything, hey, that gets you going. That gets you going. Whoa. I was talking the other day. This is true. I really mean it. I love the job I have. Actually, I don't want a different job. I love the job I have. But in theory, if I had to go get a new job, the first job I'd look for, I would like to be the thank you person any place. A department store or this, a club, I don't care. I love it all day long. Hey, hi, thank you very much for this. Thank you very much. I love it. What a great job. I could spend all day, I would like to spend all day saying thank you for everything. And I tell you, all my life I've wanted to say thank you to the bacteria in my stomach, which is not really going to happen. I can't see them, they're too small, and there's too many. But I like it. Oh, Shalom Aleichem, thank you very much. They digest my food. I love that my food gets digested. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's endless. There's no end. A person thinks about one that Hashem made. No, you can think about the fact here that by definition, because we're God's creatures, we should be responding. But for the incredible good that Hashem here. Hello? Yeah, I just want to say thank you. Yeah, for everything. You got a couple of years? Yeah, a couple of centuries. A couple of eons. Yeah, okay. I'm going to start with the shadow of the upper left corner of the wall. Yeah. Oh, no, I love it. No, it's changed. Okay, no. That's all right. If you ever see a kid with a new watch, it doesn't work anymore, actually. Because it actually works. You get a kid a watch, a little kid, he asks the kid, what time is it? He says, it's 8 o'clock and 8 o'clock, 3 minutes, 43, 44 seconds, 45 seconds, 46 seconds. What is it? Yeah, the kid can never tell you the time. Yeah, you can even say thank you. From 1 second to the next, the very thing you're thanking for has evolved in a way you have to say thank you again. There's no end. So one thing you check out where you came from. Here, you get moving. I want to do it. A second reason is you'll realize that there's a benefit in the world to come that'll get you going. There's a benefit in this world that'll get you going. You realize here. So now to come back where I began, what allows you to invest and not get now? Because it's all coming. It's all coming. And if I didn't explain the secret, here's the secret. The reason why not getting gratification gives the greatest gratification of all, whether you do it for the gratification or for love, which is even bigger gratification, because that's godly. God didn't delay his gratification when he made the world. There was no such thing, and there never will be any such thing. God had nothing to gain, has nothing to gain, will have nothing to gain. L'olam va'ed. That's the game. The game is never to gain. Ironically, those people who invest not to gain everything. They gain everything. That's the game. That's why it works that way. Because that's what Hashem does. So now, what is the course of action? The course of action is to act. How do you get yourself to overcome it? Remember where you're coming from. Remember what your goal was. Why were you here to start with? What did you want? You can't believe that you came to this world for this world. That's what, and I love this world. I love this place. I admit it. I'm crazy about this place. I love it. I love the place. It's so much fun here. The only thing is, I say to you that anybody who enjoys this world knows that they were made for this world. I've said it to you before. Only people who don't enjoy this world can believe that they were made for this world. Anybody who really has a good time knows that they weren't made for here. I tell you, it's obvious why. There's so much fun here, you can't get any of it. How many people want to love every person that in the whole world? I'm not even going to get to shake their hands. There's so much fun here. I'm not here. Forget about none of the. Forget about getting to love every single one. How much fun am I going to get out of the place? It's great. It's great. How many foods can I taste? How many places can I see? How many trees? How many opossums? I just said opossums because opossums have a very small brain-body ratio. Opossums are not playing with a full deck. It's not really fair. But here, so a person who understands the pleasure of this world knows that they couldn't have been made for this, because if you had 1,000,000 lifetimes, if this world were an ice cream cone, you wouldn't even get a lick. This place was a place to make the investment, not for here, and to gain everything, to get everything. That was the gift that God gave. So we understand what it is. We understand there's a place to come shopping, and get everything you can. And then we go to work. You don't stop. That's what we should be doing. Okay, I've said some of these things before, but that's my belief here. So what do we got to do? If you want to get. They say, I don't know if they say anymore. America's changing, but they used to say, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. There's no question. We say that. There's no question about it. Here, you want to solve problems. You're out of control. Get in control. Not really, but getting control in the way that you're acting in a godly way. Do what makes a person do. What motivates a person to do. One, you check it. You check out where you come from. You know that God made you, and you know the goodness that God pours down upon you. You know what you want in the future, even in this world, what you want, etc. We know the lesson that not taking the payoff in the second gives a greater payoff later. And the truth is, not even looking for any payoff gives the greatest payoff of all. Ironically, for the reasons that we said, because that is the reality of this world as a reflection of the God that made us. And yeah, that's what works. And then I want to tell you one thing. I'm really going to stop now because I know it's the end. But here's the point: you can never fail. Here, can I give you better news than that? When you act and you do, you cannot fail. Because there's no external judgment of the value of what you did other than the fact that you did. There's no business like that in the world. I'm really going to stop here. In business, if you have a CEO, nicest guy in the world, nicest lady in the world, but they lost money every year for the last 5 years. Do you know a business they can have a board meeting saying, the CEO, really great guy, really great lady, but they've lost money for the last 5 years, but they did a great job. They're such good people. Let's keep them on. Nobody does that. But here it does work, because the gross result was never the point. It was the action that was the point. It was the fact that we acted in a way that would make us people that would be holy people and pure people and loving people, etc. You always win when you do the right thing. You cannot lose. I love investments like that. That's my favorite investment. You can't lose. That's better than 10 to 1. What's the number for you can't lose? I do statistics on you can't lose. Nothing expresses it. 1,000,000 to 1. What number? I don't know. What's the math? What number expresses you can't lose? 1,000,000,000,000 to 1? It still doesn't. My odds are better. 1,000,000,000 to 1? These are the best odds in the world. All you got to do is the right thing, and you won. And you won the second you did it. Okay, the payoff comes later, so that's nothing. That's only because that's the bigger payoff. If the bigger payoff was now, God would have given it to us. But the answer is the bigger payoff is, by definition, that's the bigger payoff, because that's the godly way. Anyway, that's a little bit I want to say, and I hope all of us should think that we should, Hashem should protect everyone, Hashem should inspire everyone. We should take advantage of who we are. Remember, this is just to remember who we are. That's the most important thing. We remember, go back and check out where we come from, and I think it'll be clear. I hope that will just light a fire under all of us and make us move. And I pray that we'll be successful. And I believe Elasi Lobo will all sit with crowns on their heads. We're going to say Zashem Kivinu, pointing at our Creator. I want to thank you very much for listening, and thanks for having me. That's all I got to say.
Shkoyach.
Thank you, Rabbi Green.
Thank you so much.
It is always inspiring to hear your words of Torah, your words of inspiration. I remember fondly the time that we spent with a group of people on an OJE trip that we were able to experience and learn Torah Be'iyun in depth with an amazing group of people in a beautiful environment. And please God, we get to be able to do that again soon. But just to thank you for everything that you do for our community, everything that you've done for the community in Eretz Yisrael, community in America at the moment where you're now based, and just to really thank you for your heartfelt Torah connection to South Africa. We all feel it and feel your warmth, and just want to thank you for everything that you've done and continue to do, and wish you bracha and atzlocha in everything that you continue to do.
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you so much.
Shkoyach. That was outstanding. Thank you so much, Rabbi Green.
God bless
Wonderful.
you.
Cool.
Okay.
Thank you. Take care.
Danke,